So Heck's crew gave him the protection he longed for. And he's going long to Watkins. And he's able to make the catch. Slings it way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown. Second down and 7. Mahomes. Watkins, what a throw. Sammy Watkins out of bounds near the 11.
Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who'd have thought they'd lead ya? Who'd have thought they'd lead ya? Back here where we need ya.
Late last night, I get a call from a so-called friend. He wouldn't give his name. Says there's all you with another man. Feels like 17 years. It's only 17 days. Well, since I saw the real you, and I let you walk away. You left me broken. You left me stranded. The way you play this game of love is just plain underhanded. I spent a lot of time, and I spent
Chiefs or die.
no wonder what a fool to put his hands on you. Now who you been talking to? Yeah, who you been walking with? 17, you're just 17.
Welcome to Shaggy Shane's Kansas City Chiefs 2020 Mock Draft Kansas City Chiefs News Update Breakdown. Hell yes! It's time! We are inside of 2 weeks for the 2020 NFL Draft. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kansas City Chiefs freaks, worldwide of all ages, you came to the right spot, baby! Hell yes! It's time! But son of a bitch, 8 weeks ago when I left you, who would have thought we would have been dealing with a global pandemic? So I'd be remiss if I didn't give shouts and props to all the doctors, nurses, and the medical staff dealing with this situation. It's definitely something that we need to all worldwide need to take into consideration. It's definitely something worldwide that we need to grasp. And we all should be staying home. We all should be doing what's best to kick this virus. And to do that, we have to stay home. I'm not a health expert, and I'm not going to pretend to be one. But we have to do what's best for the curve and kick COVID-19, the coronavirus's ass. But again, major props to the doctors and the medical staff around the world that have to deal with patients in this terrible, dark period. Again, I'm not a medical expert, but let's do what we have to do and take the proper precaution. Let's stay home. And if we have to go out to get gas, wear your gloves to pump the gas, to put your coat in when you're charging it, and wear your face mask out if you have to go to the store and buy some bread. Shame on the people that are taking all the toilet paper, because we need toilet paper. All right, let's get right back to some Kansas City Chiefs talk, baby. The Kansas City Chiefs are the world champions, returning world champions. This week, the Kansas City Chiefs re-signed Sammy Watkins to a one-year deal, re-signed Bashaud Breeland to a one-year deal, bringing back the team, the starters basically, that won the world championship, won Super Bowl 54. And that's pretty freaking awesome. Yes, they're one-year deals. Sammy Watkins, you thought was going to be let go, because when you looked at his contract in his third year, you knew 2 years ago that he wasn't going to see that third year unless he made the proper adjustments. And props to Sammy Watkins for making the proper adjustments. Props! I had a chance to talk to Sammy Watkins 5 weeks ago before the pandemic really hit. He was signing autographs up here at the record store for the Kansas City Chiefs 54 DVD that was being sold in Blu-ray. And I thought to myself, I'm not an autograph seeker, but I thought, man, if Sammy Watkins is going to be there, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to thank him for being the man and thank him for his time in Kansas City. And regardless of where he is next season, that I appreciated his postseason service. And he was really super cool. He told me from jump. Because I came at him. I said, the most prolific postseason wide receiver in Kansas City Chiefs history is Sammy Watkins. Thank you, Sammy. And he said, hey, Shaggy, I want to be here. Kansas City's my home. Kansas City is my home. And he signed my Super Bowl DVD. Can't thank him enough. Super dude. And hell, man, he freaking made the pay cut to stay. He made the proper adjustment to stay. And he put it back on his Twitter. He said, I want to be here in Kansas City. I'm back. And he's thrilled to be back. Bashaud Breeland didn't seem that happy on Twitter. He just said his post yesterday after signing his one-year deal was in due time. In due time. He signed his one-year deal and he tweeted in due time. I guess that means he's happy to be back, but in due time. In due time. Welcome back, Bashaud. 1 year. And getting back to this coronavirus fear and the coronavirus that we're all dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. I know you could sit here and say, well, Shaggy, you're breaking down all these points about the 2020 season. We don't know if there's going to be one. You're right. So let's anticipate all the moves and the draft picks. And let's anticipate the Kansas City Chiefs, along with the 31 other NFL teams, starting the 2020 season on time. Let's take that into consideration. But the NFL schedule release has always been 1 week before the NFL draft. Ian Rappaport reported 2 weeks ago that the NFL draft or the NFL schedule release will be no later than May 9th. So we're going to have to wait 4 more weeks for the NFL schedule to be released, specifically to the schedule being delayed. I think the schedule, if it is delayed, will be delayed no later than 1 month. I think if the schedule is, if it's delayed, like I said, it'll be delayed more than 1 month. If it looks like it's going to be 2 or 3 month delay, then the 2020 season will be in question altogether. But I hope I'm wrong, but I think the NFL regular season will start in October. I think it'll affect 1 month of the season. Again, I'm not a medical expert, but I think that it's going to take some time to get this coronavirus fears, pandemic in check. And with that being said, let's look at the Kansas City Chiefs situation that they have here with 2 players that will be dealing with contract situation. That is Chris Jones and Patrick freaking Mahomes. Chris Jones, ladies and gentlemen, got the franchise tag just like we knew he would be. Just like I said 2 months ago on my last show. I said he's going to get the franchise tag. Let's go back to last season with the Seattle Seahawks. After the 2018 season ended, the Seahawks general manager knew he had to give Russell Wilson an extension. He knew he had to give their linebacker an extension. He knew that he had to give defensive end Frank Clark an extension. But he could only get 2 of them signed. He only could get 2. He got his linebacker and Russell Wilson. He heard of a monster offer that the Kansas City Chiefs are offering for defensive end Frank Clark. So the Seahawks took their cap and maxed it out by giving Russell Wilson his monster extension. The Seahawks gave it to the linebacker and gave him an extension, tagging Frank Clark. But they knew they couldn't keep Frank Clark. Frank Clark was adamant as the Seattle Seahawk 1 year ago. He said he did not want to stay here. He didn't want to stay in Seattle under a franchise tag. So the Seahawks traded Frank Clark to the Kansas City Chiefs. Here we go, folks. Here we go to Kansas City. The Chiefs already spent a whole bunch of money on getting Frank Clark and Tyrann Mathieu. In my opinion, Frank Clark, being a $100 million defensive end, you can't take the salary cap and have another $100 million defensive player in Frank Clark, in Chris Jones. So the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, and from what I can gather, were shopping Chris Jones under the franchise tag and hopefully to receive compensation in another first round draft pick for a trade, or for a fair trade. But with the coronavirus being in effect, it's taking a lot of teams that want to trade for Chris Jones. They want to, let's say the Seahawks, or no, let's say not the Seahawks, but let's say the Miami Dolphins want to give up one of their 3 draft picks for Chris Jones. But they want Chris Jones to take a physical. Well, guess what? Chris Jones can't take a physical because of the coronavirus. Nobody can look at this player to come in for a workout and to look at because of the coronavirus. There's no physicals. Granted, physicals are mostly taken as soon as the draft is over, or as soon as the trade is taking place. But if you can't look and see, if you're a Miami Dolphins and you want Chris Jones, you can't get, you're not going to get a physical to take. You're not going to want to invest in trading a first and a third round draft pick for Chris Jones. So you're not going to give up that stock for that player. Granted, it still could happen. We're inside of 2 weeks, and a trade for Chris Jones could still be on the market. But again, all the teams that want to trade for Chris Jones and make him one of the highest paid defensive players in the National Football League aren't going to want to trade for Chris Jones because they don't know if he could pass a physical. Or they could probably pass the physical, but there's just little nuances that they can't do to put that trade into motion. So what I predict is Chris Jones will be a member of the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020 under the franchise tag. Yes, Chris Jones will be here. That's my opinion. That's my take. I think it's going to happen. Chris Jones will be here under the franchise tag, and he has to tell himself, I have to play the 2020 season under the franchise tag because of the fact that there's a coronavirus and these other teams that want to trade for me and make me one of the highest paid defensive players in the National Football League, they can't trade for me now because I can't take the physicals. There's still some question about Chris Jones, his durability. He got hurt in the playoffs in 2016 or 2017-18, and he had the calf injury in the postseason. Granted, he came back and he played excellent in the AFC Championship game. Honestly, I would love Chris Jones. Don't get me wrong. Don't think, man, Shaggy, you're up here just hating on Chris Jones. No, I'm not. I would love to have Chris Jones return as a Kansas City Chiefs. He's a freaking beast. He's the heart and soul of the defense, along with Frank Clark. He's an animal. So let's wait it out and see what happens in the next couple weeks. I myself, again, like I said, would love to have Chris Jones back. Who wouldn't? But anything's possible. A team could still trade a first and a third round draft pick for Chris Jones, making him the highest paid defensive player in the National Football League. Something that I'm sure Chris Jones wants to be, and he probably should be. But the situation the Chiefs are with Patrick Mahomes, does Patrick Mahomes wait till next year and take his fifth-year option going into this season to make sure that Chris Jones gets his contract? That's something you got to teeter on, because if the Chiefs want to make Patrick Mahomes the highest paid quarterback player in the National Football League, I give it to him because he's the face of the NFL as I said 3 years ago. I called it. All right, let's get back to these freaking draft picks, baby. Let's get to it. The Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, with the 32nd overall pick, if they don't trade out for more draft picks, the Chiefs will take. I'm torn, baby. I'm torn between Cesar Ruiz, a center, guard out of Michigan, and Trayvon Diggs. If there's a gun to my head, I'm going to make the pick. That Trayvon Diggs will be your Kansas City Chiefs first-round draft pick in the 2020 draft. He had 3 interceptions his senior year. He broke his foot his junior year and only played 6 games. But he's a starter. He's a beast. And in my opinion, if he didn't get hurt his junior year, I think he would have had an even better senior year because he would have had more time physically to prepare. So I'm going to take Trayvon Diggs. He will slide. A lot of mock drafts have Trayvon Diggs between 19 and 24. I predict Trayvon Diggs will be the man who's slipping in. He's slipping. But just before he slips out of the first round, the Chiefs will nag Trayvon Diggs. With the second pick in the Kansas City Chiefs draft, 63rd overall, the Chiefs will take center Lloyd Cushberry III out of LSU. He's a big body. He's a mauler. He's coming in at 6'4", 315 pounds. He'd be a stud center to build around. Andy Reid isn't afraid to get a second-round draft pick in the second round like he did with Mitch Morse out of Mizzou in 2014. So I predict in center, Lloyd Cushberry III will be your Kansas City Chiefs second-round draft pick. In the third round, the 96th pick overall, the Kansas City Chiefs will take big body beast out of Louisiana Lafayette guard Robert Hunt. He's 6'5", 322 pounds. A beast. With that move, I think drafting guard Louisiana Lafayette out of Louisiana Lafayette, Robert Hunt, it will force the Kansas City Chiefs to release Duvernay Tardif after June 1st. Because Robert Hunt's a beast, the Chiefs could save that money. And hell yeah, those are my picks. 32nd overall, Trayvon Diggs. Center, Lloyd Cushberry in the second round out of LSU. Louisiana Lafayette's Robert Hunt, guard in the third round. Now my main man, my right-hand man, my draft guru, Ron Tepper, who spent years working for Bleacher Report, along with working inside the Pittsburgh Steelers media, alongside of Myron Cope. Like I said, he worked for Bleacher Report. He's been studying these kids. I love the guy. I appreciate the insight. Love you, Ron. You are the man when it comes to the drafting. Ron Tepper thinks the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take linebacker out of Wisconsin, Zach Bond. And Zach Bond, he was my pick, and he is a beast. Zach Bond was my pick until yesterday. Then I started thinking we're going to go with Trayvon Diggs. But Ron Tepper likes Zach Bond. With the second round pick, Ron Tepper thinks the Chiefs will get another Wisconsin player, center Tyler Biadasz. It's Biadez. I'm going to call him Biadez, but he could be called a badass. So let's call him Tyler Badass, center out of Wisconsin, with the 63rd overall pick, according to Ron Tepper, and the 96th overall pick in the third round at a Louisiana Tech. Ron Tepper likes Amik Robertson, cornerback. The guy looks like a beast, a stud corner. Those are Ron Tepper's picks, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my picks are Trayvon Diggs, cornerback out of Alabama, 32nd overall. Center, Lloyd Cushberry III, LSU. And in the third round, Louisiana Lafayette's guard, big body, 6'5", 322, Robert Hunt. Ideally, the Chiefs only have 5 draft picks, so they could be trading out of the first round to stockpile on more draft picks. The Chiefs only have 5 draft picks in this year's draft because they traded the 6th round draft pick last year to the New York Jets for Darren Lee. And the Chiefs traded their 2020 7th round draft pick to the Miami Dolphins for safety Jordan Lucas. Both players, well, Jordan Lucas is already gone. He signed with the Bears. So the Chiefs could ideally, like I said, be trading out of the first round. But if they're not trading out of the first round, those are our selections. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kansas City Chiefs freaks worldwide of all ages, thank you very much for tuning in to my mock draft update and Chiefs news. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back. I will be back in 2 weeks to stock back up or to tell you guys on what the Kansas City Chiefs did in their post-draft discussion. Stick with me. I will be back here in 2 weeks, and we'll round out your Kansas City Chiefs 2020 NFL Draft. Until then, this is Shaggy Shane saying, go Chiefs!